Is the urban doom loop the next economic threat, or is the threat overhyped? And what stocks do you like in the space to invest in?
So the urban doom loop is like all the big corporations downsizing the buildings. I mean, even during COVID, I think James Altucher was like, "Hey, New York is going to collapse and everyone's going to move out." And um, while some people moved, and of course, some hedge funds, of course, relocated to Florida, for the most part, big cities are doing okay. I don't think that this is the next big threat. And I would say it's slightly overhyped, but you do have to take in consideration that Salesforce in Indianapolis is downsizing. There's a bunch of companies in Memphis that are downsizing. LA has been falling apart in the commercial space since 2020. So I think we're just getting to the correct levels where we should be. I think people overdeveloped too fast, too quickly. We talked about it before in 2020 and 2021. Like Google has shut down some of their office spaces, Meta has downsized some. But I think we're just getting to the correct valuations of where we should be and the correct metrics for how much space each of these companies really need. If you're going to invest in the space, I would be long Google, long Meta. I would be long on CRM as well. So those are like the three that I think, even if they downsize, that the margins on a company are so good that they are still going to thrive. And of course, we'll talk about it later, but BlackRock and Blackstone. I told this to Stock Club yesterday, but if you are a real estate investor, by 2035, your number one competitor they're going to be BlackRock, Blackstone, and Vanguard. Very soon, you'll see Vanguard start to acquire some of these properties as well. And we've already heard the talks of mixed use and a company potentially like having office space on a lower level and then residential units above, and you have a grocery shopping on like the middle tiers. I think that is going to get sped up, especially if we see a slowing and we get a lot more exposure to the issues that are happening in China with Evergrande. We'll talk about the trust later. But there's some contagion issues that could spill over. But you have to remember, in every crisis, it presents an amazing opportunity for someone else. So I would be long on Google, Meta, CRM as a result, but I don't think this is the next big threat. I think there's a bunch of combinating factors that is making us go through this downturn.
I had CRM. That's interesting. I'll start backwards. I had CRM as the company for a number of reasons. And I think the major cities make sense. We talked about this maybe, I think last week or 2 weeks ago when we were talking about WeWork and the impact on New York City and what kind of impact would it be. I think for the major cities, we should be okay.
Yeah.
Right? The New Yorks, the LA, Chicago's, it's those mid-level cities that I think we'll see this type of doom loop. And so we got to paint a scenario where workers don't return, retail businesses shutter for a lack of customers, residents flee to the suburbs further out from those mid-level cities.
And if we can talk, not to cut you off, they're pushing us back to the suburbs too.
Yeah, but here's the part that we don't talk about. The city's tax revenue.
Yeah.
Right. So if all those things happen, then the tax revenue for that city declines, which leads to fewer services and then fewer residents. And so if we look at some of these spaces, and I know we're like, yo, summer Fridays are over, but people still have to go back to these places. They still have to go back to work. And so what you're seeing is high delinquency, right? And then you're also seeing low occupancy. Those two things don't work in these type of environments. Yeah. Then somebody put this picture, they painted it really, really nice. They were like, look, if offices are empty, right? That's the first part. The commercial real estate is losing value, right? That's going to pull down municipal tax revenue, which we don't talk about, but we should. There's going to be few commuters, meaning that there'll be less revenue from transit, which we don't talk about. So like these are all factors that make up a city, and obviously not New York City. And then if you have fewer people using transit, that means there's fewer people in your downtown, which means to fewer shopping, which means to more unemployment in those areas. We just saw it happen in San Francisco, right? We looked at one of the biggest retail malls that shut down, and we went there maybe 2 years ago, and we looked, and we were kind of downtown, and you had the huge Salesforce building. But as you walk around, you start to see like there's a lot of retail space, and wait, this mall's closing, and that office space. And so you're starting to see these things play a part of it. But once it starts to affect the revenue from a standpoint of tax, municipal, all these things, there's an issue here. There's an issue that we definitely got to be mindful of. So Is it the next biggest economic threat? I don't know if it's the next thing, but it is definitely a threat that we should be paying attention to. But I like CRM for the reasons that you just said.
Yeah,
we look at
absolutely.
a company who is positioned to thrive in either of those environments, whether people are back in the workforce or people are at home working from home. Like there's still be communication throughout an enterprise because that's what the company is based off. So I definitely like CRM, and I love Google too. I'm glad that you added that one.
Yeah, and even Meta, like Meta's the reason why most people don't even like engaging in person anymore, because it's more convenient in your home. Like you can reach 5,000 people a day just from your phone through WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook. So it's interesting to see, even in the digital space, how there's crossover into real life. WeWork is still in shambles.
Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting to the day where we get the call that WeWork has officially died. So say your prayers now. I know we haven't done Dead Alive in a few, but go pay your respects. So yeah, I think the world is changing. Also on a political side, I don't know if we want to talk about it, but Big T could win. We need a chief like revitalization officer of the United States at some point. Like we need someone to look at all the major businesses.
If he's not locked up.
Good point.
It's a very good possibility. I don't know how he doesn't get convicted. They have him on wiretap. It's a pretty easy case.
I think one of the trials starts in March.
And they're going his co-defendants, one of them is going to end up ratting.
Yeah.
So I don't know how. My boy's still locked up in Fulton right now with a public defender. You know, he about to tell.
Yeah, he couldn't afford bail.
Who?
It was
the only black guy with Trump.
Yeah, in Fulton County.
They going.
There's 16 out, 1 left.
I don't know.
Let's guess who.
I don't know how he avoids conviction. I don't know how he avoids.
You gotta say yes, ma'am, 14 times.
But he don't have nobody to tell on. He's top of the totem pole. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he don't have nobody to tell on. Giuliani might rat. Everybody is capable of turning state evidence except for Trump, because he's the top. So they want him. So but if he's able to not get convicted, then he has a good chance of winning for sure.
If not Biden, who? I don't think Vivek has a chance.
I think Biden wins the second re-election. I actually think that he wins easily, honestly. Not by the fact that so many people love him, but there's no runner-up. I mean, I think you have DeSantis. He'll probably end up as the Republican nominee. I don't see anything
fast.
I don't see anybody stronger than him.
It's not looking good.
But I don't think, if Donald Trump is not running, then the Republicans. I don't think the Republicans have a chance.
Didn't they just have the first debate like last week?
Whoa.
No, the Republicans. They had they did, right?
It's like Chris Christie, DeSantis. It's nobody that's of any relevance. DeSantis is interesting. He's going to carry Florida, so that's a key state. He has a shot. Definitely has a shot. But I don't think that. I think that the Democrats will garnish enough support to get Joe Biden reelected, and it's almost by default. He's going to win by default.
Yeah.
What are you going to be? 83?
Oh yeah,
84.
Mitch McConnell.
Hold your head.
We need to retire from my boy. Hey, Pelosi, give Mitch your money so he can retire.
He's been medically cleared again.
That's scary, bro.
It's scary to watch. It really is.
See somebody glitch in real life twice.
Yeah.
The glitch master. So yeah,
that's crazy.
I don't know. I don't know who can beat. I don't know who can beat Joe Biden. I don't know who can beat Joe.
Who can beat him? I don't know if anybody. I mean, he's the incumbent, so it's tough. I don't think anybody beats him. Who will run again? I don't know.
All you gotta do is just lay low.
Yeah, just lay low.
Don't say anything stupid.
What do you think about Gavin Newsom, California's governor?
Impossible.
Well, he's a Democrat.
That's what I'm saying. As a next Democratic candidate after. I mean, if Biden.
Oh, maybe after Biden.
Who's next?
He's positioning himself definitely positioning. He's positioning himself to become a candidate
at some point
2028.